All right, let's talk about ginseng. You've probably seen it everywhere, right? In energy drinks, in supplements, and it's always hyped up for its amazing health benefits. Well, today we're going to zero in on one of its biggest claims, that it can help manage blood sugar. But what does the science actually say? Let's dive in and find out. So here's the big question. Is this ancient herb a legit tool for controlling blood sugar, something that's backed up by modern research, or is it all just kind of a modern myth? Let's take a look at the evidence. Okay, so our little investigation here really focuses on two main players. You've got American ginseng and you've got Asian ginseng. Now, you'd think they're pretty similar, but when it comes to blood sugar, they tell two surprisingly different stories. Let's start with American ginseng. At first glance, the evidence looks really, really good. Honestly, it almost seems like an open and shut case. The first few studies came out with some seriously impressive results. Get this. In a series of really well-done, placebo-controlled studies, healthy volunteers who took American ginseng saw their blood sugar drop by up to 39% after a meal. That's a huge number. Blunting those big spikes after you eat is a major goal in managing blood sugar. So a number that big, well, it definitely got researchers' attention. And it wasn't just for healthy people either. They saw the same kind of positive effect in subjects with type 2 diabetes. In those studies, they saw a reduction of up to 22%. So at this point, the case for American ginseng is looking rock solid. And here comes the plot twist, because in science, it's almost never that straightforward, is it? While those results are super promising, it's really important to know that not all the studies found these effects. One study only saw a trend, and another one, it found no effect at all. And just like that, our simple case just got a whole lot more complicated. Okay, so if American ginseng was a little complex, Asian ginseng is a full-blown scientific puzzle. With this kind, the evidence isn't just mixed, it's completely all over the place. Just look at this. Some studies on Asian ginseng show a fantastic results. A 29% drop in post-meal blood sugar. Awesome. But then, other studies found absolutely no effect. And to make it even crazier, at least one study found that it actually increased blood sugar. I mean, how can one single herb have such wildly different effects? It's confusing, right? This is really the heart of the mystery. What on earth could explain why one bottle of ginseng might lower your blood sugar, while another does nothing, or even does the exact opposite? Well, it turns out the answer isn't about if ginseng works, it's about what ginseng you're actually talking about. And here is the big reveal. The reason for all this inconsistency isn't necessarily that ginseng is a bust. It's that ginseng isn't just one thing. There are a ton of different variables that can completely change its chemical makeup, and because of that, its effect on your body. So this is the crucial point. The species, the specific batch it came from, how it was prepared, even which part of the plant they used. All of these things can lead to a totally different effect. This means you just can't take the results from one ginseng product and assume they apply to another. They could be completely different animals. I mean, you can't get a better example than this one from Korean red ginseng. Researchers found that its tiny little rootlets, they decreased blood sugar after a meal. But the main body of the root, nothing. No effect at all. It's the same plant, just different parts, and you get completely opposite results. Wow. Now, scientists think the main active compounds doing all the work are called ginsenosides. You can kind of think of them as the plant's tiny chemical messengers that might be telling our bodies how to process sugar. But to be honest, the full picture is still a bit of a mystery, and it's totally possible that other things in the plant are playing a role too. So with all of this variation, how can science possibly move forward? How do we find the real signal in all of this noise? Well, researchers have come up with a pretty clever model to cut through all the confusion and actually figure out which types of ginseng are the real deal. It's called the acute to chronic testing model. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's really smart. So first, you use a quick, one-time test to screen a whole bunch of different ginseng sources. Then, once you find a source that actually works, with the right profile, the right dose, the right timing, you use that exact same source for the big, expensive, long-term clinical trials. It's a way to make sure you're not wasting time and money studying a version of ginseng that was never going to work anyway. This quote from the research really just says it all, doesn't it? The inconsistency from one source to another is the single biggest problem. It's what stops us from being able to make a big, broad statement like, ginseng lowers blood sugar. And it's what prevents doctors from widely recommending it for people with type 2 diabetes. So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? The story of ginseng and blood sugar isn't a simple yes or no. What it shows us is that for these ancient remedies to become modern medicine, we need modern science to pinpoint exactly what works and why. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question. Maybe the future of medicine isn't just about discovering brand new cures, but about using science to personalize the wisdom of the past.